am Kim Bomberger. I am a portrait photographer, and I have this space, which is now called Women on the Rise. It's a group for women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond who are stepping into our next level selves. And I am so excited today to have Lisa Bergin with us. Lisa is, and this is like a mouthful for me, but she is like, she's amazing. She is a certified functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner who is all about empowering us strong, smart, independent women to take charge of our health and nutrition so that we can live our best lives. And she's got some really amazing insights today and tips to share with us. So get ready to be inspired, and welcome to the show, Lisa.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. So can you tell us a little bit about that big old title that you have? Like, what does that mean to be a certified functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner? And how did you kind of find your way on that journey?
Sure. So first of all, let me just say that I did not have that title until just last year. I started my health journey probably about 8 years ago when I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. And I'm going to give you a little bit of history about me and my journey to get where I got and how I got that diagnosis. So when I was a young age, I had asthma, and I was on a lot of medication when I was younger, constantly in the hospital, ER visits, steroids, and lots of allergies, environmental allergies, not so much food allergies, but a ton of environmental allergies. And through my teen years, my digestive system was going a little wonky, irritable bowel syndrome, probably a little leaky gut, maybe a little candida going on in there from all the steroids that built up over time. And through my mid-20s into my early 30s, probably early 40s, I lost 6 children. And no one could tell me why, other than my OB said, I don't have answers for you.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So that's okay. Thank you. Thank you. But I didn't know I had a thyroid condition at the time. And prior to that, and I do want to share that I lost my hearing when I was 12 years old, and I am completely deaf, but I wear 2 bilateral cochlear implants that allow me to hear 95% of my hearing when they're connected. So when they're off, I hear nothing other than I feel vibration. My immune system was attacking my inner ear. So let's think about the immune system and what the immune system can do to our digestive system. Having an unhealthy gut and an unhealthy immune system, I had 6 different autoimmune conditions that were stemming and coming at me from early childhood all the way into my early 40s and didn't know it. And then I went through menopause at 42 with not one single sign of going through menopause. My period stopped out of the clear blue sky. So in my diagnoses, right, remember we have diagnoses, when I moved to Florida 6 years ago, my endocrinologist sat me down and said, did anybody say or share with you when the fetus enters the body, it's foreign? And my thyroid attacked my fetus and didn't even know it. So let me just share, that was the beginning of my health journey. I used to sell pet food, natural pet food to independent pet specialty. And I traveled for 17 years, 5 days a week for 17 years. So let's talk about fatigue, headaches, constipation, lack of energy, no motivation. Think about all these symptoms, right, that develop women in their midlife that have perimenopause and menopausal are experiencing these symptoms. I experienced them and didn't even know what was happening to me and my body. So when I had tried multiple different medications for my thyroid, nothing worked. And my endocrinologist said, okay, let's talk about how we can do this differently. And I said, well, what is different? What does that mean? And he said, well, let's try some different thyroid medication. And it didn't work. And he said, I'm out of luck. I don't have any more medication to give you. And I said, well, then you're not the doctor for me. I'll find somebody else.
Mm.
So in 2018, I decided it's time for me to make a change. I cannot travel anymore. So I went from helping dogs to helping humans in nutrition. So I started as a health coach and a life coach. And I learned what habit changes and transformation and how to make a transformation to become a better version of yourself. But I never learned about the body. What does the body do? How does the body function at the cellular level? And how are the systems connected? So instead of chasing symptoms, I want to look at systems because the systems are all connected. They all have to work together. So I went back to school to become a certified functional nutrition counselor that enabled me to understand all 7 full body systems that we have in our system: endocrine, reproductive, urinary, cardiology, heart, neuro. They're all connected. Our mind to our gut, our thyroid, endocrine to our reproductive, our thyroid to our adrenals. They all have to work together. So I went into the graduate program to become a functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner and became a board certified holistic health practitioner. But when we look at words, right, I don't think about the big words. How can I help you in your well care? Going back to the soil. So think about the soil for a minute. You're coming to me with all these symptoms that are the branches on the tree, but I want to look at the soil that grows the trunk that expands the branches. That's going to help me understand what's happening in your body because you're different, you're unique, and you're a bio-individual, and everything matters.
Wow, Lisa, that is such an incredible journey that you've had. And, what you've been able to build out of that is pretty amazing as well. Because I think that, just my own experience in life, if you go to a doctor and most of them don't treat your whole body, it's like you come in with a headache, they're going to give you something for your headache. If you've got something with your stomach, they deal with your stomach. But really, we are all interconnected. And it takes somebody, who really can understand that to help people get to the root of the problem. So that is
Absolutely.
pretty incredible.
Thank
So,
you.
how then, because I'm sure you sound like you were on the road, for 17 years. How did you make that jump to having a healthy lifestyle, to implementing the changes? Because I'm assuming that it takes a lot of changes, starting with diet and all of that, and having to understand just, what different supplements and nutrition supplements that you need to use. It's just a
Sure.
lot to fit in if you're busy. So how
Sure.
do you help people create a healthy eating and lifestyle change when we are really just busy, and to make that practical and sustainable for us?
Sure. Everybody's busy, right? And everybody's on the go, and we're taking care of someone else, or we have
Mhm.
kids, or we have a stressful job, or we have spouse, partner, whatever that is, right? So when I went to school, I was still working full time. I was still traveling. I'd get up really early, get some schoolwork done, get on the road, get back to my hotel at night, finish up, wrap up my day from calling on 5 to 7 stores a day, and then doing some more homework. And I did that literally up until a year and a half ago when I finished my graduate program. But at the end of 2019, I said, I'm done. I cannot travel like this anymore. I had to pull over on the side of the road to take a 20-minute nap
Mm.
just so I could get home because I was exhausted. I was so fatigued. My body was speaking, talking to me, but was I listening? No, I was not. So at the time, you have to take a look and take a step back and say, okay, Is what I'm doing working, or is what I'm doing not working? And if it's not working, where can we make the adjustment so that you can make healthy lifestyle changes in the context of your busy lifestyle, right? So what does that mean? And how can you do that? I get to look at everything, right? Not just my diet, right? Because diet plays a role when we think about our relationship with food, because somebody could tell me they ate the healthiest diet on the planet. But if you're consuming more sugar in your diet, then you're not eating the healthiest diet on the planet. But what does that mean? Because it's different for everybody. Then I have to look at self-care. Where are you taking care of your own personal needs? And I'm not talking about getting your hair done, and I'm not talking about getting your massage or getting your nails done. There's 7 different types of self-care, from mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, email self-care, like cleaning out the clutter, right? Where in your life can you use more of that? That I look at self-care. Then I look at movement. What kind of movement am I doing that works for me? Because movement's different for everybody. But if you overwork that movement, are you doing a disservice to your body? Because maybe that type of movement isn't meant for your body. And then I look at my stress levels. How can I build resilience and lower that stress? And then sleep support and supplementation, because you're right. Our food manufacturers today are doing all of us a disservice with the toxins, the chemicals, the added chemicals, the sweeteners, the colors, the dyes, the preservatives. Our bodies aren't meant to ingest any of that. But how do we take care of that in our busy lifestyle? So I had to make a lot of changes. I did. I traveled. I ate out a lot. I tried to bring my food. I tried to make a shake in a hotel. I tried to order the best possible meal I could. But then you think about, oh my God, what are these restaurants making? What kind of oils are they using? How are they cooking the food? The portion sizes are out of control. I never once counted calories. Never once. I never once went on a restrictive diet. I did do a detox, but I did a detox that was a healthy detox that didn't allow me to be restrictive, where I had to have 3 shakes a day and I couldn't eat anything else but drink 3 shakes a day. I don't believe in that.
Because that's
I
not
believe
sustainable either
it's
then.
not.
Yeah, it
It's
might give you
not.
a quick fix, but it doesn't
Sure.
help over the long term.
It gives you the instant gratification in the beginning because you
Mhm.
see a result, but in the long term, it's going to put your body at a disadvantage.
Right.
And I also don't believe in the weight loss shot. I'm sorry, guys, but I don't. That's a quick fix to me, because that doesn't teach you the relationship with food. How can you learn about what food is going to work for you? So I had a lot of lessons to learn. I had to clean up my pantry in my house. I had to go through my pantry, but I also had to remove the triggers that were causing the inflammation in my body. What were those triggers? And I learned that in functional nutrition school. I didn't learn that in health coaching school. I learned that when I learned anatomy and physiology of the digestive system and the immune system. And I was blown away, blown away. Do I eat the healthiest today? I eat it in moderation. Do I incorporate sugar? I do. But I make my own baked goods, and I use a different type of sugar. Do I go out and order the piece of cake or maybe have the ice cream? Of course, because I'm not going to live my life that says that I can't because I'm on a diet, or I can't because my eating plan doesn't call for that. That's not the life I live. But did I have to plan some food? I did. But now I focus on, this is my mantra, and write this down, ladies: protein, fat, and fiber. What protein is on your plate? What good fat source are you using? And where's the fiber coming from? Because we as women in this stage of our life, and I say this stage because everybody's on a different path, how much good fat are you getting? You need energy metabolism to thrive on a healthy diet lifestyle. And where's the vegetables coming from? What fiber source are you using? That is my mantra. I look at your plate. Are you eating on a big dinner plate? Are you eating on a salad plate? How much protein are you getting? And if you're not getting enough and you're protein deficient, I might look at the vitamins and minerals in your body. And that was my biggest change. Biggest change. Does
Protein,
that help answer your
fat,
question?
fiber.
Fat and
So we'll
fiber.
remember those things. So how long was your process, Lisa, when you went from being so unhealthy to making these changes in your life and understanding what that looked like for you and figuring it out? Like, how long before you started noticing differences, and what were the first differences that you noticed?
Sure, sure. So before I was diagnosed, I was a avid walker, and then I became a runner. So I ran 6 marathons in 3 years time frame. And this was all in my mid 40s to probably 3 years ago. So I'm 52 now. And I thought I ate the healthiest, right? I thought I ate the healthiest diet in the world. And I thought, oh my God. The biggest time change in the things that I noticed, I had to remove gluten from my diet. I'm not allergic to it. I'm sensitive to it. So when I say sensitive, and sorry guys, if you hear my dog barking, I apologize. And I say sensitive to me, it makes my head itch. It gives me restless leg syndrome. It didn't cause bloat or inflammation, but I had to remove the trigger. And there's 3 big triggers that I look at: gluten, dairy, and refined sugar. And believe it or not, people don't realize what the milk products, the dairy, the lactose do in our diet, and what are they fed. My changes are still evolving. If I sit here today and tell you I'm not making changes, I'm lying to you, because I make them every single day. The biggest change I noticed when I left my stressful job, some of my stressors reduced. I wasn't always thinking about where I had to be or what pet food store I had to go to, or how long was it going to take me? When was I going to get home? So again, thoughts play a role in the actions that we take for the results that we're looking for.
Absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely, right? Thoughts create feelings, feelings create behaviors, behaviors create action, and action creates result.
Exactly.
So when I looked at everything in my environment, all of my stressors, I checked one thing at a time. Because if you make too many changes at once, you ask yourself, well, what's working? I had to change my thyroid medication. That was number 2. That was the biggest thing. It wasn't working for me. My weight was increasing exponentially. I'm a runner, ladies. I shouldn't be gaining weight. I mean, I ran marathons. I would run 20 miles a week. I shouldn't be gaining weight. Something was off in my body. So diet was first. So looking at my relationship with food, looking at what was I consuming, when was I consuming it, and how did it affect my blood sugar? That was the biggest, and that probably took the longest. But when I removed those triggers, my energy increased. That was the biggest thing. My fatigue it lessened, right? I got more energy. I was less tired. But here's the thing, I never slept through the night. I always got up once or twice. And then I'm going to share something else with you. Because of my thyroid condition and my Hashimoto's, I suffer from severe constipation. And I'm being vulnerable here, ladies.
Well, a lot of women do, but we don't talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Women don't talk about that, right? And then when I reconnected with my high school sweetheart 6 years ago, which is what brought me to Florida, my sex drive plummeted. I got dry. It hurt. I was screaming. I was like crawling the back of his neck. And I'm like, stop. What is going on with my system? So if you can imagine, yes, was I unhealthy? I was unhealthy, but I didn't have diabetes. I didn't have high blood pressure. I didn't have high cholesterol. Those are more serious health conditions than fatigue and weight gain and lack of energy and lack of motivation, right? That's a different kind of unhealthy. So when I say, ladies, that I have a lot of changes to make, I did. But I knew that once I took them and I tackled them one by one, I believed that it was possible to make changes. And when I stuck with that belief, and I mean that, ladies, when I stuck with that belief and believed that it's possible, all these other things started working for me in my system. I added more joy. I got outside in nature more. I stopped thinking that something was wrong with me. And then I noticed things changing. And now my life is totally different, completely different. Yes, am I living my best life? I am. Do I still have autoimmune conditions? I do, but they're under control. They're manageable. I was just diagnosed 2 weeks ago with another immune-mediated autoimmune condition that threw my whole system through a flare. And it's a skin condition that I was diagnosed with. I thought I had skin cancer, but I don't. And I have an immune-mediated, we're still trying to figure out how it happened. And I understand now my constipation caused it. So ladies, when I say I don't take poop lightly, I don't take poop lightly.
No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't, but you're right. And nobody talks about it. So thank you for being vulnerable and bringing that up, because it is something that as women we can deal with. And I have just been so engrossed in everything that you've shared. I'm just looking at our time, and I forget what time you told me you need a hard.
I'm fine.
You're good for now?
We're good.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I'm
what I
good for
want
right
to
now.
do
Yeah.
is, because I just looked and we have a couple of comments. So ladies, we have Dawn Archer here. Nancy is here. Cindy, hello.
Thank you, ladies, for being
Stevie,
here. I appreciate
and
that.
and the one question that came up, well, I don't know that it's a question, but Stevie says you're hitting many of my issues already. Gluten, dairy free, but processed gluten free items are often loaded with sugars, and I have noticed that to be true too. It's like when you try to make substitutes for one thing, then sometimes what they substitute with is as bad, maybe not worse, but as bad as the original thing. So what would you say to that?
So can you just repeat that question for me one more time?
So it wasn't really a question. Yeah, it was not as much a question as a statement, but Stevie was saying that, she was already gluten and dairy free, but processed gluten-free items are often loaded with sugar. So
they are.
So from that, it's like, how do you navigate those substitutions? Because again, I've noticed that, well, I have a granddaughter who's vegan, and the things that she replaces vegan items with are so unhealthy. They are loaded with sugar and all kinds of unhealthy fats. And so then finding substitutes for things and the right balance can be a challenge. So how do you address that?
So not all gluten-free is created equal, right? And just like Kim said, and just like you guys are addressing here in the chat, before I address that, ladies, I will come back in the group and address all of the comments and all of the questions, because I can't see them because of being in Zoom here. So please know that I will come into the group and address everything. So not all gluten-free is created equal. There are specific brands that I use in my home and specific choices that I get, maybe buy in the grocery store or I buy online from a company that I've researched. So I'm going to say this: gluten-free products on the market are processed. So the less processed you have in your diet, the better and healthier you are. So when I see that, okay, we want crunchy food, right? Everybody craves salt and sweet, or somebody might crave, I want that sugary snack. Make it yourself. Look at, like I use Enjoy Life dark chocolate chips when I cook. I use coconut sugar when I bake or unsweetened applesauce when I make certain things. I make gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free zucchini bread probably twice a month. I freeze it, I take it out when I want it. Now, I use gluten-free flour. I use a rice gluten-free flour because when I looked at some of the other ones, there's too much stuff in it. The longer the ingredient panel, ask yourself, if you can't pronounce an ingredient, do you want it in your body? Ask yourself that. Look at not just the guaranteed analysis, look at the ingredient panel. Anything ending in OSC is sugar. OSC is sugar. I don't care what it
I
is.
didn't know that.
It's sugar.
OSC?
OSE. Yeah.
OSE.
Anything
Okay.
ending
O's.
in
Okay.
OSE is sugar. Absolutely. So then you have to ask yourself, okay, I have kids. My kids are picky. They're not going to eat this. They're not going to eat that. Do the best you can. It's not rocket science. You don't need to eat 100% perfect. Go with the 80-20 rule. If I eat good 80% of the time, am I going to eat unhealthy 20% of the time? Can you say no to the cake for dessert? You can. You have the choice to make. When I look at sugar, and I'm going to share this with you, ladies, for every 6 grams of sugar is 1 teaspoon. For every 6 grams of sugar is 1 teaspoon. So if you look at soda and it's 52 grams of sugar, how many teaspoons am I getting? Divide that by 6. Probably 20 some odd teaspoons of sugar. That Frappuccino, that Dunkin' Donuts coffee that you get that's loaded with sugar, ask yourself, do I really need this today? Could I have black coffee with, I'll even go with the creamer, the full fat creamer. Can I have that or add some honey or raw maple syrup? Where can I choose to make a better choice that's going to give me a better result? Do I need the Splenda? Do I need the sucralose? No, you don't. Your body isn't going to recognize it. And later down the road, you're going to create something unhealthy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, those were great tips. Really good tips. So, yeah, the OSE equals sugar. That is really good. And so Cynthia asked if you could address inflammation.
Inflammation.
And then Stevie had commented too that she doesn't actually cook, but her husband does, and he's celiac. And she has Hashimoto's. So between the two of them, they are really working to figure things out. And I'm sure with both of those things, I'm not celiac, but I do have Hashimoto's myself. And so I know inflammation just is like its ugly stepsister that goes along with it. And you do have to be really careful. So if you could address some inflammation for us.
Inflammation's tricky. Inflammation's tricky because, again, what's stemming it? You know, I always take a step back and ask, when was the last time you felt good in your body? And then work from that point to address what happened in your life that could be triggering inflammation in the body. Is it food? Is it stress? Is it a diagnosis that you got that hasn't been addressed? So inflammation's tricky. There's ways to help reduce inflammation. Is it a parasite? Is it candida? Is it a virus? You know, there's different ways to look at that, whether it's a blood test, whether it's a food sensitivity test, whether it's a hormone test, right? So inflammation is, I like to take a deeper look at what's causing it, and then what are the steps we can take to help reduce it? Is a food source causing it? Is it causing bloat and inflammation? Are you eating too fast? Are you multitasking when you're eating that's causing inflammation? What could it be? And when I look at that, I like to take a real deep dive into when did the last time you felt good and what led you to where you feel not so good today. I hope that answers your question. And if you do want to talk with me, I'll share a way you can at the end of our call, and then how you can come and follow me if you want to learn more tips and tricks, and get some deeper information on the hormones. Because when I say hormones, ladies, it's not just your sex hormones, ladies. You've got thyroid hormones, you have adrenal hormones, you have insulin, you have cortisol, you have hormones in your heart, you have hunger hormones, fullness hormones. There's so many hormones in your body. And I'm going to say this, when one is off, multiple are off. And then I take it a step further and I look at your nervous system. Where is your nervous system off? Are you staying in fight or flight all the time? Or are you in rest and digest? Because if there's a disconnect in your nervous system, it's going to throw off your entire hormonal spectrum.
Oh, Lisa, this has just been such a wealth of information, and I'm so glad that you mentioned how to connect, because I was going to be sure to tell you, have you put in all of your contact information in the feed so that ladies can reach out to you. But for the video recording, just in case I end up turning this to audio, could you tell us the best way also for people to reach you?
Sure. So I have, there's a couple ways you can follow me. You can follow me on my personal Facebook page, Lisa Bergin, or you can follow me in my private Facebook group called the Healthy Hormone Hub. And if you look, you'll see my picture if you follow the group, ask to join. Or you can follow me on my business Facebook page, Lisa Bergin, the Hormone Adjuster. Or you can visit my website at thehormoneadjuster.com, and adjuster is spelled with an E, not an O. If you have my website, you can have a connection call with me. There's some information on testing on my website. There's information on my programs on my website. There's information to join my newsletter. I send out a weekly newsletter, and I don't spam you, I promise. I do give you valuable information, some free recipes, really helpful tips, and ways that you can work with me if you choose to. I operate a practice here locally, right here in Fleming Island, actually sitting right here in my office in my house. I do see some clients in person, depending upon their availability, my availability, and where we meet, because it is an intimate experience. And I wouldn't want someone to have a breakdown and other people see that. So I'm very private when it comes to working with my clients. And then I also offer 4 times a year women wellness retreats. So I take a side of my practice and I go travel 4 times a year to different places to offer an intimate experience for women wellness retreats, because I believe in the power of community and connection and building sisterhood.
Oh, that all sounds so good. Do you do those locally here in town?
So my January retreat was here in Crescent Beach, Florida. My May retreat, which is I'm getting ready to leave in 2 weeks from yesterday, my May retreat is actually going to be in the mountains of Georgia. And then I'll be back here in Florida for my October retreat. I don't know where yet, probably Milano, Crescent, maybe Flagler, somewhere in that area, but yes, it will be local.
Okay,
For the
ladies,
October
mark our
retreat.
calendars. Let us know in the group when the one in Florida is going to be. I think that that would be an amazing opportunity for some of us who connect here online, but not so much, in person. And it would be just a wonderful opportunity for us to get together and go do something that's really healthy for all of us. So I just love that idea. So yeah. Well, Lisa, oh my gosh, thank you so much. You have absolutely been so helpful and amazing. We've gotten some really nice, I hate having to do it this way, but I have to look on my phone. But yes, just love retreats, love this information. Thanks, ladies. Thank you,
So
thank
I
you,
have,
thank you. Just a lot of great things here. Did you have anything else you want to wrap up with for us?
So I want to address 2 things, because I did have somebody reach out to me and ask me 2 questions.
Oh yeah,
So
I forgot about that. Thank you.
That's okay. That's okay. And then I want to leave you ladies with just something that I feel touches my heart. So somebody asked me about thyroid, and I think I shared a little bit about my Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism. There is also hyperthyroidism, which is the opposite of hypo. Something I want to share: just because you don't have a diagnosis of a thyroid condition doesn't mean that your thyroid is not optimized or working at peak. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because our thyroid and our adrenals have to talk to each other. And if our energy is low and we're stressed, there's probably a reason that we're not releasing weight. Our stress isn't coming down. We're not adding more joy to our life. So when the question came in, could you address thyroid? Thyroid is complex, but it doesn't mean you can't get your thyroid to work and be optimized. And when I say optimized, I'm saying working better and healthier, because your thyroid controls temperature and it controls your weight. So keep that in mind, that if you're feeling sluggish, you're not releasing the weight that might be stuck in the midsection, or you don't have motivation or energy, something could be off. Doesn't mean you don't make enough thyroid hormone or you make too much. It means it may not be getting utilized at the cellular level. So I just wanted to put that out there for you guys, because that happened to me a year ago, January. I developed insulin resistance. So I wasn't utilizing the glucose my body was making. It was turning to fat and not energy. I'm not diabetic. I have no issues with my A1C. I wasn't utilizing my own glucose the way it should be utilized in the body. And I had to rethink how I was eating and when I was eating and what I was eating. So, and again, it helped optimize my thyroid. So I want you to understand and know that it doesn't mean you have a thyroid condition. It just means your thyroid may not be working at capacity. That was the first thing I wanted to address. The second thing, somebody asked a question about hormone deficiencies relating to hair loss and hair growth. And that, again, is a complex, right? If you have thyroid issues or you're protein deficient, if you had COVID, would that affect hair loss or hair growth? Now, hair growth, to optimize hair growth, we need collagen in our body. And if we're not getting enough collagen or utilizing the collagen, it could be slowing down the process of hair growth. Hair loss could be a thyroid condition, protein deficient, stress. So many things come into play. COVID, if you had COVID and then all of a sudden your hair started falling out, that happened to me.
That happened to a
And I'm
lot
like,
of
where? My hair's
people.
falling out in clumps. Now, ladies, my hair a year ago, August, was down below my breast. And I cut my hair off last August because it was falling out and it was becoming brittle, and I was tired of styling it every day. And ladies, I went full spectrum, like shocked the entire world. I mean, this is my hair now and I love it, and I'll never grow my hair long again. And that's just me. I loved my beautiful hair, long hair, but I was just like, I'm going bold. And if I'm going to go bold and I want to go big, I need to become a better version. So ladies, I did cut my hair, and living in Florida, it's like a godsend. So those are the two things I wanted to address. And then the last thing that I want to leave you with, and I know that I've taken up a lot of your time, and I hope you found this valuable today. Just know that if something's bothering you and you don't feel well or you feel off, don't suffer in silence. It is
So good.
not healthy. I stayed closed for too long. And when I stayed closed and I was shut down, my system started shutting down. And when I opened up with things that were bothering me, the loss of 6 children, being in my second marriage was a verbal abusive marriage. It took a lot of guts and wit to come forth. And I get emotional about this because it's true, to share what's here, because trauma doesn't need to define you. You're not broken. And I chose to get in this line of work to help people see that you can become that youthful, vibrant self, because you're worthy, you're beautiful, you're confident, and you can live your best version in whatever capacity that is for you. So ladies, don't suffer. Speak to somebody. I'm here. I'll listen. I've got ears. I might ask, say what a couple times, but I can hear, and I will be there to support you, motivate you, inspire you, empower you to be that better version.
Oh, Lisa, you just touched my heart, and I can see from responses here, you are just hitting on all of the points that you're speaking to all of us. Thank you so much for taking this time out of your I don't like the word busy. I'm trying to get that out of my vocabulary too, but you have a full life. You're helping so many women to get better. And, you're right. When we think about hormones, we think about the sex hormones, and that's where we kind of drop the whole conversation on it. And I realized we didn't even talk at all about like hormone replacement therapy or any of the things that as women we tend to, that's the first place we go to when we are having this discussion. So you have just broadened this so much farther and deeper and given us so much wonderful information, and it's been so very
Thank you.
helpful. So this will live live in this group. If anybody has missed it live, I'm going to encourage them to come back and watch the replay and to connect with you. And again, if you have more questions that you would like to drop in here, Lisa's a member of this group, and she will be keeping an eye out for that, and we'll get back and answer all of the questions. And so thank you so much, all of you, for taking this time out to join us today. It's been just a really helpful and meaningful time to spend together. And I've loved this. And I definitely would love to have you back on again, Lisa. I think that almost everything you talked about, we could devote a whole, segment to, because it was just